Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
On Sunday, the 7 seed, 10-7 Denver Broncos head to Buffalo to face the number 2 seeded Bills, who were 13-4 during the season. Projected total 47.5 points. Buffalo is 8.5-point favorite. That means Vegas is telling us that Denver will score 19 3/4, while the Bills score 27 3/4. The Broncos are coming in pretty healthy with no major injuries with them, and Buffalo is pretty healthy too. Except I will point out this one note: Amari Cooper has been away from the team most of this week, personal reasons. They haven't given it any more information than that. It's assumed that he will be back for the game, but we're not quite sure. Mike, Steph, who you got? Does Denver have any chance against Buffalo on Sunday?
That's a possibility, but because I'm going to start with Denver first. Denver has qualified for the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. Actually, yeah. This is their first playoff appearance since they won Super Bowl 50. The last time they was in the playoffs, Peyton Manning was behind center. The last time they was in the playoffs, Cam Newton was MVP. The last time they was in the playoffs, Obama was still in office. Times have changed. Their reward for being the first time in the playoffs in 9 years is to go to Buffalo in probably suboptimal weather and face Josh Allen and the Bills. Now, the Broncos are going to have their hands filled with the Bills, one of the most complete and Super Bowl ready teams in the league. They will, as you can see on the line below, they enter this game as big underdogs. But right now, guess what? The team has gotten their monkey off the back and has something to build upon with Bo Nix. Do you know that Bo Nix joined John Elway as the only rookie quarterback to ever lead the Broncos to the playoffs? Now, he will go head to head, Bo Nix that is, against the quarterback that most feel will be this year's MVP, Josh Allen. I got a quote from Sean Payton, the beloved Sean Payton. We all love a challenge, right? I guess it's like a challenge when somebody says X. The first thing I think of is, who is that someone? Payton said. I think your players certainly do have a little bit of a chip when they see all these initial prognosticators or whatever. Then eventually when you're in this long enough, you tune that stuff out because half those people don't have a clue of what they're talking about. Who's done this before with over $80 million in dead cap? All those things you think about. No one's done that before. Let's be the first one. See, this is why I don't like Sean Payton. I understand you got to be a leader of men. I understand you got to take this us against everybody mentality, but nobody was thinking about no $80 million in dead cap. I'll go over to the Bills side. This season, the Bills became the NFL's 19th to have 13 players catch at least one touchdown pass, with Mac Hollins having a team best 5. Khalil Shakir, meanwhile, led Buffalo with 76 catches and 821 yards receiving. Back to the Bills. The Bills allowed a league low 14 sacks this season, the fewest since Indianapolis allowed 13 in 2009. Now, the red zone D, Buffalo finished 16th in the league and 10th amongst playoff teams and allowing opponents to score 57% of the time in their drives inside the red zone. Cook, aside from topping 1,000 yards rushing with 28 yards in a meaningless game this past Sunday, he scored his 16th rushing touchdown of the season, tying a single season mark set by O.J. Simpson in 1975. My last stat, because I can go on and on all day with these stats, because believe I got 2 more pages for her, but because of time, we're going to truncate it like this. Do you know that the Bills are 4-0 in Wildcard Islands, all at home, since a 22-19 OT loss at Houston in 2019? Buffalo defeated Denver way back in 1991 in the AFC Championship game. And that was their first and only playoff meeting. Now, Buffalo, they're favored by 8. They're at home. I really want to take Denver plus 8. I don't think Denver's going to win, but it's something about Buffalo. Sometimes they start off slow. And I remember a couple years ago where they had to fight tooth and nail against a Skylar Thompson-led Miami Dolphins team in the playoffs at home. But I think this is a different Bills team. So I will go Buffalo minus 8.5. In the over-under, I'm going over because I think both these teams are going to be able to put some points on the board with the caveat that it's not snowing.
Yeah, this is a game you definitely have to look at the weather as a factor. I did not look at the weather, so I'm not going to put in my equation here. First of all, wait, you were done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Let me look at Denver first. They've been playing really well, 5-2 in their last 7 games. Rookie Bo Nix, he looks like he's going to be one of the stars in the league coming up, doing a little bit with his legs, a little bit with his arms. Cortland Sutton has been the anchor, the number 1 wide receiver. But Marvin Mims has made a couple of really big plays down the stretch. If they're going to make something happen this week, you might want to look at Mims. But on the downside, Denver, by the way, 65-1 to win the Super Bowl. Part of the reason they have such long odds is because they do not play against playoff teams very well. They have gone 2-5 versus playoff teams. They defeated Tampa Bay and Kansas City in Week 12, but they lost to Pittsburgh, the Chargers twice, Baltimore, and Kansas City the second time. The Bills on the other side, 6.5-1 to win the Super Bowl. They rested their starters last week. Prior to that, they had won 3 in a row. They're mediocre versus these playoff teams, 2-3. But they're led by MVP Josh Allen. I think he will win the MVP. I think he deserves it because of the cast of characters he has with them. A bunch of pretty decent players, but I wouldn't say any of them really stand out. When it comes down to it, what I think is going to happen here is I think this game is actually going to be close at halftime. I might actually try to make a halftime bet and take the Denver side. But I expect the Bills to put it all together in the second half and pull away. So I'm going to take the Bills minus the 8.5. And like you, I'm going with the over. I think we're on the same side again here.
I'm Desmond Powell, host and creator of Hip to the Games, and I am incredibly grateful to announce that the show has been nominated by podcast professionals from some of the biggest networks in the industry for the chance to be named Sports Podcast Group's Best Basketball Podcast. While Hip to the Games merges the love of basketball and hip-hop, it's an honor to know that one side of the spectrum has received this kind of love. And as a fan of the show, this is a very easy way for you to show your support for Hip to the Games. You can cast your vote by visiting sportspodcastgroup.com, navigating to their drop-down menu, and clicking the awards tab to view the 2025 shortlist. There, you'll see the best basketball podcast icon where you'll scroll down and find Hip to the Games, where you can hit the like button to officially lock in your vote. Regardless of the outcome, Hip to the Games will always be about celebrating the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present. So make sure to get your votes in before January 13th as you remain such an important part of this podcast growth. I sincerely thank you for all your support. I'm Desmond Powell, host and creator of Hip to the Games, and I am incredibly grateful to announce that the show has been nominated by podcast professionals from some of the biggest networks in the industry for the chance to be named Sports Podcast Group's Best Basketball Podcast. While Hip to the Games merges the love of basketball and hip-hop, it's an honor to know that one side of the spectrum has received this kind of love. And as a fan of the show, this is a very easy way for you to show your support for Hip to the Games. You can cast your vote by visiting sportspodcastgroup.com, navigating to their drop-down menu, and clicking the awards tab to view the 2025 shortlist. There, you'll see the best basketball podcast icon where you'll scroll down and find Hip to the Games, where you can hit the like button to officially lock in your vote. Regardless of the outcome, Hip to the Games will always be about celebrating the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present. So make sure to get your votes in before January 13th as you remain such an important part of this podcast growth. I sincerely thank you for all your support.
All right, next up, we have the 7 seed Green Bay Packers heading to Philadelphia to face the number 2 Eagles. The Packers were 11-6 in the regular season. The Eagles were 14-3. The Eagles are 4-point favorites. Projected total is 45.5 points. That means Vegas is telling us that Green Bay will score 20.75, while the Eagles score 22.75. As far as injuries, Green Bay last week caught a bad injury. Christian Watson likely has a torn ACL. He's done for the season. He's probably done for most of next season as well. Meanwhile, Jordan Love had to come out the game during Week 18. Apparently, he hit his elbow and his hand went numb, which I think happened to anybody that hits their funny bone. You kind of know what that feels like. They seem to not be too concerned about it, but I don't know. We have to check up on that. And then Romeo Doubs missed the game because of illness. I think he will be fine. Another wide receiver. On Philadelphia side, they have issues there on their own. Jalen Hurts has been in concussion protocol for the last 2 weeks, and he's still in it. I saw an update just this morning that they think that he will be fine for the game, but I'm a little confused why he's still in concussion protocol after all this time. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, the 1 and 2 wide receiver, have both been limited in practice. A.J. Brown because of his knee, Devonta Smith because of a wrist. I think they'll both be fine and are not issues. Mike, Steph, do the Packers have a chance against the Eagles?
Well, they have a chance, even though they're 7th seed, because guess what? They did it last year. They know they could pull off a row upset because they went right into Dallas and blew them out. They face a Philadelphia team that has won 12 of the last 13 games. The Eagles have the second-ranked scoring defense and have allowed, 17.8 points a game. Now, here's an interesting stat for a playoff team, 1-5. Do you know that the Packers were 1-5 against the NFC North opponents for their worst divisional record since 2005, when they also was 1-5 against their division? But here's the main caveat. They were 4-12 for the season. So you mean to tell me out of this 6 losses, 5 of them was in the division and they still made the playoffs? That shows you how the strength of both the NFC North and the strength against the Packers against the rest of their schedule. I don't know. Before this season, the Packers had gone 22-8 in NFC North games, but guess here's another stat. Matt LaFleur, he's 0-5 in games against the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions. The Packers finished this regular season ranked in the top 10 in points per game scored, points per game allowed, and yards per play. Now, on the Eagles side, the Eagles took down these same Packers 34-29 in a roller coaster first game, play in a slippery field in Brazil. Saquon Barkley racked up 132 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns in what was his Eagles debut, while Brown and Smith combined for 12 catches and 203 yards and 1 score. And Hurts, who is hurt now, passed for 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. But many believe that the Eagles were simply playing cautious with Hurts after his concussion against the Commanders, but he didn't suit up in week 17 or 18. And like you said, there's real concern on whether or not he's actually going to be able to make this game. Plus, their backup, Kenny Pickens, darn. What's Pickett's? Kenny Pickett. Yeah, that's right. Kenny Pickett. Pickett. Now you know why one of them had to get out of Pittsburgh, because it was going to be crazy. But Kenny Pickett is still dealing with that rib injury that he sustained, and their backup last week actually showed something, but albeit it was against the New York Giants. If Hurts' absence is prolonged into this postseason, guess what? The Eagles could be facing a one and done for the second consecutive year. So looking at this spread, -4 is actually not bad. So I'm going to take it. Eagles -4 over under. I'm going to go over.
Yeah. So much here hinges on the health of both quarterbacks, really, but Hurts is the one that we're probably more worried about. And I mean, when it comes down to it, that's what the spread comes down to. But all right, first of all, Green Bay is 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. They are 2-3 in their last 5. They were 2-5 versus playoff teams this year. As you mentioned, last year they made a run, and they're basically the same team intact, but they haven't. But last year they were coming in firing up, and this time they've been kind of struggling down the stretch. I would say with Watson out, you might want to look at Datavion Wicks and see what he does this week. He might be a key here. On Philadelphia side, they are 7-1 to win the Super Bowl, and I'm sure that stat includes the worry about Hurts because they are the hottest team coming into the playoffs. Like you point out, they've won 12 of their last 13. That one game they lost was to Washington, the game that Hurts got hurt. They're 5-2 versus playoff teams. So they're one of the few teams that have been dominant against the other great teams in the league. Jalen Hurts has been great. Saquon has been amazing, ran over 2,000 yards. This is a complete team. Their defense has come on lately. Like you said, this line is really interesting. I think it's only because of the question mark of Hurts. I definitely am leaning with the -4 in Philadelphia. This is one of the bets that I might just jump at right away, try to get there before they actually clear Hurts. And the over-under, that's really interesting. Again, you got to wonder about how these quarterbacks are doing. I'm going to go with under. I think the defense is really going to shut down Green Bay a little bit. By the way, Josh Jacobs has been really strong for the Packers lately. He has 15 total touchdowns, but he's been going all crazy because I remember in the beginning of the season, people were complaining because he wasn't scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, over the last half of the season, he's really. I think he had a streak at one time. I'm not sure if it's still continuous, but I know he had a streak at one time, like 6 straight games with a touchdown.
He's been doing his thing. So that's another reason I kind of like the under because I think Green Bay is going to run it more than most people expect. And then if Hurts is even slightly questionable, then they'll just give it off to Saquon. So this might be a ground game attack.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I'm playing devil's advocate here. The dude they put in that garbage game against the Giants, they allowed him to throw 43 times.
Bro, they were playing the Giants and the game didn't matter. If they had him in this game, he may not throw the ball 10 times because they'll just keep handing off to Saquon.
Listen, we're talking about the idiot known as Nick Sirianni. Don't put anything past him.
Give the man
like,
some credit.
They think we're gonna ground and pound. Guess what? Ed Coryell out this mother effer.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
That's funny.
Where you going, baby? Oh, so you took a cat nap to go to the movies? What movie?
Nosferatu.
Huh?
Nosferatu. The vampire movie.
Nosferatu.
That's Dracula.
Nosferatu. Yeah, Dracula. Don't let nobody suck your blood. Hickeys are out.
That joke. Okay.
You're saying, what, you scared?
Of what?
Vampires.
No. You asked me if I'm scared of vampires, like you didn't make you didn't come with me to go watch all, what is it, 5 movies?
Hey, that was what was that? What's the name of that movie again?
Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight. Yeah, it's Twilight. It's like cartoons.
Oh, don't do that. That's not.
No, she asked me. I'm really going to ask her. She's scared of vampires, and I took her to see Twilight. Man, Twilight was like Beverly Hills 90210 or vampires.
Or True
Yeah.
Blood.
True Blood was True
Blood
Blood.
wasn't even scary.
no, that's what I'm saying. True Blood was funny.
Like, I'm not afraid of vampires.
Oh, so your name is Suki? You Suki Stackhouse?
Have a good day at work.
I love you too. Be careful, cause just don't bring nothing home from those theater seats.
Oh my goodness.